Hello, and welcome to The Potential State. My name is Dr. Assael Romanelli, and today I want to talk about saying no to someone else is saying yes to myself. My meditations on no. So the first time I heard saying no to someone else is saying yes to myself was my friend Avi Reinstein, the infamous improviser and teacher and educator, and I was thinking about that throughout the years. It was always there. And this specific talk got a lot of inspiration from this book called The Power of the Positive No. How to say no and still get to yes by William Ury. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And he talks about the three typical responses we have when people request from us something. We either accommodate, which means we say yes even though we mean no. And then that leads to feeling like a victim, feeling like no one taken for granted, feeling invisible. And that creates what Chalmers' brother calls in his book, Language in the Pursuit of Happiness, commitment management. Like we're not managing our commitments. We're saying yes to too many things. We're accommodating too much. And therefore we have a problem of time management. And he says, don't think about time management, think about commitment management. Say more no's and you will have more time. But I'll be talking about that later. So that's accommodate, the first reaction, saying yes when I mean to say no. The second is to attack. I'm insulted. How can you even dare that? Can you dare ask me this or that or request that from me? I get hurt and angry. And usually that either leads to ending of relationship, but it certainly leads to blocking. Because I'm reminding you of the previous episode we spoke about insult is the highest form of blocking. So attacking is being insulted, is basically blocking that request, ending that relationship, or going against that emotional bid. That's another topic we spoke about previously. And the last technique is to avoid. Just don't answer. I'm asking for a delay. The problem is that it keeps you stuck, keeps you heavy. It's always these things hovering over your head. I should be saying, they're waiting for an answer, they're waiting for an answer, they're waiting for an answer. So I'm actually not free, I'm not liberated. There's a burden of possible commitment, of heaviness, of structure that is hovering over me, and I can't get rid of it. So I have a gain that I'm avoiding the actual saying no, but the loss is that there's this heaviness. And why are we afraid of saying no? Because what's our fear is that the other will be hurt, or we will be perceived as arrogant. In both cases, it comes from a place where we're not confident. And I'm not differentiated, because if I was differentiated and I knew that I know my truth, so I'm not going to say yes when I mean no, and I'm not going to be afraid of saying no, because what I'm saying no is I'm actually saying I want to be more next to you. I want to be more authentic. And I'll just I'll share with you the model that's presented in the book of how you should say no. But just before that, I wanted to say that we're afraid of saying no because we think that people respect us less. But actually, ironically, people respect us more, our kids, our colleagues, ourselves. So the more we say no to people, this actually shows to people, no, I'm not willing to be here in whatever state of, whatever, I'm not your rug, I'm not your floor mat. I'm going to be here, a subject next to you, eye level. The second thing, you get respect from yourself. All the unconscious and your internal parts are realizing that you're protected, and you're saying no to protect yourself. And the reward they will give you is that they will be for you. You'll be feeling confident and alive, and you'll feel a sense of integrity. Third thing you get when you say no is you're training yourself and other people that you can't get everything in life. It's reminding yourself that you're human, reminding yourself that life isn't perfect. Reminding yourself that you can't get everything, and people can't get everything. And the last thing that saying no does, it's kind of a buffer from being in victim mode. We spoke about that previously, right? Because when I'm overcommitting, when I'm over-accommodating, I'm going to start feeling people as abusing me, as using me, right? And then I become a victim. I feel sorry for myself. I blame others around my life. And we know already that the victim polarity just keeps you locked in a reactive state, waiting for people to be nice to you. Right? But when actually you kept saying yes when you should have been saying no. And in the model, he presents about the three stages to the positive no. It starts with a yes. So yes to my values, to what's important to me, to clarify that first of all for myself, and then to the other. And then it's a no with a period at the end. It's the positive no. It comes out of a sense of respect for me, respect for the other. I'm holding on to myself. I'm announcing what my boundaries are. And the last one is a yes with a question mark, where I would try to further the relationship. I'm trying to find a win-win or a compromise that will show or go toward the bid if you infuse this with the idea of emotional bids. So when the yes question mark is my way of saying I'm going toward the emotional bid behind my partner's request or my colleague's request. So it's internal yes, a positive no, and an outgoing yes with a question mark. I want to give a few examples of no's that I gave and that I received. Some were better and some were worse. So I'm going to start with actually the no for my kids. My kids, anyone who's a parent, or at least 75% of my sentences to my kids start with no. Because they keep asking, that's their job. Their job is to push the envelope. Their job is to try to get more out of life, more out of me. And my job as the parent is to educate them by giving them boundaries. So I'm saying no all the time. I would say about roughly 50% of my no's that I don't even think about it, almost semi-automatic. I don't practice the positive no that Uri talks about in his book. I either do it to feel powerful, I either do it because I'm too tired to actually listen to them, so I really say no. But those other 30-40% of the times I'm actually managing to connect to why am I saying no. First of all to myself, and then to them. Why can't you have another ice cream? Sometimes I'll just say no automatically, but sometimes I'll think, well, actually, no, we want to take care of your teeth. You just had 2 teeth fall out. You need to go to the dentist soon. So actually, more sugar right now will not help you, da-da-da-da. And perhaps it's those positive no's that kids react to more. That's when kids listen to and stop fighting or moaning or stop pushing back. There was a moment when I finished my doctorate, I went to the dean of the School of Social Work at Hebrew U, and I offered her my services to start the tenure track. And she said to me, only now I can say that she did the positive no. She was so blunt, and she said, you're a great teacher, you're a great therapist, but I don't think you should be here. I think you should go to the field. I think the academy would just shrivel you up. So no, and even if you'd volunteer, even if I needed a course like the one you're offering, I won't pay you. And I remember she was so blunt, but it was just so clear, and I think retroactively she was saying yes, she was protecting her school, she was respecting me and my abilities, and she said a no, and then she gave a few offers, a few ideas where she thought I should go. And I just remember afterwards telling my wife and my friends, on the one hand she completely rejected me, she literally threw me out of the school, on the other hand I felt so respected and heard. And I think that was a very visceral experience for me, realizing this now, of how does it feel to get a positive no from someone else. Or I think a lot about grandparents, right? Today's grandparents, the kids like us, like their parents are we take advantage of them. We ask them all the time to do things for us. And they should accommodate, even if they don't. And when they don't, when they're actually saying a positive no, or they're going on an attack and saying no, we get so offended. We get insulted. We feel sorry for ourselves. How dare they have a life? How dare they rather go see lecture than babysit my children in the afternoon? They should want to accommodate all the time. So we have these pockets of hypocrisies where we're offended if people say to us no. But if you actually stop and think about it, they're protecting themselves. They're saying yes to themselves. So obviously we have to find a balance between saying yes to others and saying yes to myself. But if I kind of infuse this with improvisation language, we want to be saying a yes and to our no. So it's not just no, it's yes. Like, why am I not saying this? Why shouldn't I be doing this? And see how that feels in the body. And that kind of leads us to the practical tips, the practical advice part of this episode. So if you want to try practicing the positive no, you're welcome to read the book. But here are a few of my thoughts. So step number one, let the requests land. When people ask you for something, see what they really want. Let that trickle in a little bit, if you can, obviously. And just see where that hits you. What's the truth about that? What's realistic? Is that good for me? And I remember there was a couple of therapists who contacted me and wanted me to supervise him on his training, and the way he wanted to do it, I felt wasn't really clean. Didn't feel clean to me. Didn't feel ethical in that sense. And I liked the guy a lot. I know him from other contexts, and it took me a second. I was really wanted to please him because I didn't want to get a fight, because I didn't want to hurt him or to strain our friendship. But then I said to him, you know what? I don't think this is right. This doesn't feel right for me. This is not a good fit. I wouldn't be able to supervise you when I don't feel 100% comfortable, or at least 90% comfortable. And he actually took that really well. So the first thing was to let the request land and see where it trickles and where does it hit your truths, your values. Almost like those little pins that go between all the the nails that we used to do when we were kids, and then it lands in one of the boxes on the bottom. So see which box that lands into. What is this about for you? What are they requesting of you? And then prepare yourself to disappoint. Prepare yourself to rupture, expect resistance. I think about my kids. It's like, it took me a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years to not be loved by my kids, not be afraid of that. To know that I'm going to say no, and they're going to cry, and they're going to yell, and they're going to get angry, and they're going to say nasty things. But at the end of the day, they're going to come back because I'm protecting them. So it's almost like parenting prepares you for disappointing people. And I think about my involvement as a therapist. In the beginning, I always wanted all my clients to love me, all my students, all the audience. But I'm realizing the price I pay for that is I'm not daring to be myself. I'm bringing a facade of who I am. And I'm not fully alive. And nowadays, now that I'm used to so many people either taking offense or not feeling misunderstood or being insulted because I dared to say something that was blunt or something they didn't expect, or to say no to something that they requested. I remember once there was a woman here, and it disturbed her that I stand up when she enters the room. I made her feel unsafe. Not unsafe, maybe unsafe or maybe uncomfortable. And I was going to say, yes, of course, however you want, the client is always right. But then I said, wait, but that's the way I greet everyone. That is my ritual. That is my truth. But what's interesting about that, get ready for people to be disappointed. And the more I give my truth, the more people might be disappointed. But the truth is they're just going to be disappointed initially, but afterwards, in the long term, they're going to respect it. So this woman asked me to sit when she arrived, and I thought about it, then I finally decided no. And I told her, I think I gave her the positive no, even though I didn't know that model. But I said to her, this is my way of being authentic with you. And you came to me because you wanted authentic interaction with someone. So it would serve you that I listen to myself and that I protect myself. And she could let that land, and she digested that, and she stayed for a few more sessions, and we did continue. And I felt like if I would have sat down when she came in, there would be I'd be a little less myself. And Carl Whitaker talks about therapists. He says therapists should fight to be authentic, because when I'm authentic, I'm forcing the other to be authentic. Well, that's true not only in therapy, that's in life, right? The more I'm authentic, the more I'm forcing my partner, my child, my colleague to be authentic, because I'm refusing to be one shade of who I am, just the victim, just the know-it-all, just the helpless one. I can bring different shades of myself. So when I'm saying no, you're going to slowly realize that not everything goes here, not everything flies. There's actually more of a person here. And then maybe, hopefully, they'll be able to say to us no. And that's what frustrates us as parents, right? When the kids are saying no, they're actually fighting for their autonomy. It upsets us. We want them to be autonomous, strong, independent thinkers, but just not with us, right? We want them to be zombies or robots when they're with us, and then, authentic, strong thinkers outside. But nobody outside wants them to be autonomous and rebellious, right? They want them to be autonomous and with any other person, with any other framework except for where they are right now, whether it's school, parents, friends. So get ready to disappoint. And after you get used to disappointing enough times and just surviving that will become the next level where you'll dare to say a yes, where you'll dare to offer to continue the conversation. And that will take a long time because you need to feel comfortable enough disappointing people and still stay open and still stay hopeful and still keep the door open for them to then change their mind and realize. Like when my kids' friends, and they get insulted, they go and they cry in their room and you think they're never going to come out. But after a while, they calm down and they come back and they moved on. They don't resent you for that. Sometimes they would, but sometimes they don't even remember that. They move on. I think about Lila, my 4-year-old. She gives such a tantrum and you're sure she will never talk to you again. And then she moves on. Maybe that's the way. We get the disappointment, we swallow that frog, and we keep going. And over time, you're going to learn to protect yourself, your energy, your heart, your mind. All those parts of yourself, your body, are going to start feeling really, really grateful, and they're going to reward you. Right? By saying no to certain foods, we get stronger. By saying no to staying in bed and getting up and going to exercise, our body thanks us. Right? When we say no to projects that would drain us or to gigs that are not right for us, our unconscious thanks us. And even when we say something no to our kids or to our partners, and they know you're saying it because we love them, that also makes them closer, gets them closer. And at the end of the day, that builds a solid sense of self. I'm going to end with a quote from this book, The Power of the Positive No, by William Uri. And it goes like this. The great problem today is that we have divorced our yeses from our nos. Yes without no is appeasement, whereas no without yes is war. Yes without no destroys one's own satisfaction, whereas no without yes destroys one's relationship with others. We need both the yes and the no together. Yes is the key for community, no is the key for individuality. Yes is the key of connection, no is the key of protection. Yes is the key word of peace, no is the key word of justice. So I wish all of you to start saying more yes to yourselves, even if that means saying more no's to others. But on that, with every single no that is a positive no, you're not only solidifying your solid sense of self, but you're also building slowly a bridge for the authenticity of yourself and of the other. My name is Dr. Assael Romanelli, and this was The Potential State. I'll see you next time.